Hello, everybody. Welcome on this bright and early sunny Sunday morning here for me in Colorado. It's like 8 a.m. and I'm here with my good friend, Jenny B, who is in Scotland.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi there. How y'all doing?
So we had some, I'm doing this Fascia Lab coming up starting, I think, on Tuesday. And Jenny had some questions for me about it. And we thought, well, why don't we do it in front of the world? And
Yeah.
include the world.
No pressure, eh?
Right?
For either of us. Like, what conversations can we have with this? Like,
Yeah.
really, I've been lucky enough to choose to be on your bowspring classes. And they've begun to unwind my body in a different way than allowing me to perceive my body with a different space of being present consciously with my body. Um, and that has been fun and playful, and it's great to be with other people. So I wondered what was different with this class that you've put on called Fascia Lab. I'm like that. Well, this is intriguing. And it really is. It's like, wow, what's this about? Like, there's an energy with it that I'd like to know more about. So that was my question to you. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, let's kind of back up for just a moment because some people may not even know about bowspring that are listening to this, but bowspring is a really different, really dynamic movement practice that I've been doing for a couple years. Jenny, I teach it, and Jenny has been taking these classes online with me. And it just like it changes and shapes and creates space and deep intrinsic strength and presence in our bodies in such a unique way. And it actually does that by working. It works with a lot of things, but it works with open posture, like really strengthening our back, reinstating our curves. And works really dynamically with the fascia. And the fascia is this thin tissue that wraps everything in our body, muscles, nerves, everything, organs. And it's actually a contiguous sheath of tissue. So it's all connected. And it is very thin and very strong, and it holds a lot of things in place. And it can also be very gel-like. It can be hard, it can be gel-like. And then when it's gel-like and we're strong, we've strengthened our bodies into a different posture. It changes the whole organization of your structure and your body, and people get out of pain, and it heals the nervous system. It's just incredible. And Jenny's had some pretty cool experiences with it.
Yeah, I think the thing for me was like the real unfolding of all of that and how I could be different with my body and allowing my body to unwind in a different way without like I mean I put in our chat, it was more fun than yoga because it wasn't like forcing my body into a posture that is for strengthening from like the mind. This is what you do to get more strength or more mobile. Or down the gym pumping iron. This was a way to be present with your body without a force that unlock, and you have words for it that's different, but it really began to unlock deep emotions in me that I had locked in my body from either illness or injury. And that to me was something else that came up, very much like body processes that I have with access consciousness can really go deep. This was something from movement that my body really required that unlocks something else. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very somatic practice. So and Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, he says, in speaking about ESSI, which is a hands-on, energetic, beautiful modality that works really directly with the molecules of the body and embodiment. And he says, because ESSI works with fascia as well, and he says that It undoes the glue that holds judgments in place in our bodies that SE does. And um, I kind of think of Bowspring as like SE movement, like it has a similar energy of SE, but you're moving your own body, and you are, as we say in Bowspring, you're the sculptor and the sculpture. So you're actually not just sculpting as we would think of like with weight, bodybuilding, but it's actually like changing the arrangement of the bones and all these things, like giving more space to our organs, healing the nervous system. And it does that by undoing all of these sticky, gummy, hardened, solidified aspects of our fascia and our structure and our whole body, that hold so much history in place, like neurological, dis-ease, and like, even, I mean, people have had a lot of health things change from Bowspring, like digestive issues healing, and because it opens up the space in our bodies for everything. It's pretty cool.
There was one session we actually did like 10 minutes working on feet, and I couldn't believe how much my hips had changed just by playing with feet. And then the whole, like this piece here, like where the fascia meets this piece of my skull, like that all unwound as well. So like the whole length of my body changed just from being present with how to be with my feet.
Yeah.
And that to me is the piece where I'm like, what's the Fascia Lab? Like, what is that? Like,
Yeah. So the Fascia Lab is all of that and then adding on to it. So it is a Bowspring movement series. It's going to be 6 parts. And this time we're going to have, usually we did about an hour for a Bowspring class. We're going to do an hour and a half each time, and it will all be recorded if you're, unable to make it live. But one of the things that has really facilitated my body and my Bowspring practice and allowed me to like progress so much faster and with more ease with Bowspring and what I'm creating with my body is by working with my fascia in other ways. And like I mentioned, SE, SE is this incredible hands-on, energetic modality where we literally just change the molecules of the body and beyond. And if I could get SE every day, I would get SE every day.
Me too. Me too.
There aren't a lot of SE practitioners where I live, and I do work on myself. But I've discovered some other ways of working with my fascia that, so hands-on, it's a lot of like, to me, it's like a real amazing opportunity for a depth of self-care and self-body care that most people don't choose, and maybe don't even know is possible. But spending time like touching our bodies and exploring, like, oh, if I touch here, like where do I notice what occurs? Like, does that change anything elsewhere in my body? So getting really present with, like, where are the like adhesions and where can we actually release things? Because, for example, okay, let's say you want to actually, so in Bowspring, we work a lot with, we work with uniform tone. So meaning like you bring the whole body online from a strength perspective. And so you don't just go bicep, you're actually using your entire arm, all the muscles that wrap everything, and you're providing directionality. So like the upper arm spins this way, the lower arm spins this way. There's all this directionality that we play with the tissue in Bowspring. So a lot of people find that like their biceps are way over, even if you don't feel like you have strong biceps, they're probably going to be stronger than your triceps. That's still the case for me. And so I can't have a uniform tone if that's the case, right? Like, so I want to be able to bring everything online in a uniform way, because when the muscle hugs the bone, that's where there's a lot of healing that occurs. And a lot of times when we have pain, it's when our muscle has moved away from the bone. And so we want to nurture it back. But the thing is I've got like hardened fascia here, and everybody does. Like most people do. We text, we type, you know, we're curling in instead of opening up. So the fascia here that is hard and bound is going to keep this from being able to come online. So there's this thing of looking at, like, you know, the opposite, or like the top of the hand gets really constricted from typing, and then we can't engage here. So you want to work with the fascia. This is just one example of what we're going to do, but like working with the fascia in like discovering where you can work with your fascia and where it is bound, so that when you do the bowspring practice, it's loosened up, it's softened, it's more gel-like, it's more viscous, so that when you do engage here, it can actually, that muscle can actually work more because it's not being pulled by the fascia up here.
There's that thing where, like, what you're saying here is that nurturing element that, and one of the reasons I chose bowspring was for that nurturing element that's more nurturing than for me doing yoga. This is what I require.
Yeah.
So it's about being present with my body, with my body's consciousness, and allowing my body to actually speak to me in a way so I can assist it by nurturing it, unwinding. And this is what I've been asking for so long, because I've tried so many different modalities, and it always feels like a doing. It's not a being present with.
Yeah.
And what you're highlighting here is that nurturing way to be present with the body and unlock it in an entirely different way, that it's from its communication with you.
Totally. And that, like what I just went through, was more of a kind of a technical piece.
Yeah.
But what I've found is, like, when we have, because it's such a different, like the bowspring way of looking at the body and understanding how the fascia moves, the directionality of it, and how it affects the engagement of different places in our bodies, and how it takes things offline or makes things overwork. That, like, having that information is really cool, because then and so that's the kind of like technical piece of it. And like what you're speaking to is so much more of, to me, that's actually so much more of what creates the change, is when we be present with our bodies and we're like, hey, so what is this, you know? And you can start to kind of just like allow your body to show you, you know. And now I have, like, I was doing a lot of work with my foot last night, and I know how, like, the pain in my hip and my knee and stuff like that, like, I know how it's related to my foot, you know.
Oh.
And I can work with my foot, and I can explore, and I can be like, oh, what happens if I play with like the inner line of my foot right underneath the ball of my big toe? How does that unwind my hip, you know? And so it's just like spending time like playing with our bodies that are so elastic, and so, actually, like, that's not even in a correct, I mean, when I say that, I'm like, it's actually more, there's space, there's liquidity, there's like so much possibility and so much consciousness in our bodies. And this is like really taking time to care for our tissue and the physical, you know, aspects of our body that then change the energetics and change how we show up in the world. And the process of being with our bodies and being with our fascia in this way is like, it's so life-changing, because when you start to deeply care for you and nurture you and your body, everything, like you like nobody, it's kind of like it strengthens that space where you won't give yourself up for other people, you know, which is a big thing, you know, obviously, like probably one of people's biggest challenges, is giving themselves up for others. But if you take the time to care for you and your body, like you develop a whole different relationship with yourself.
Totally. There's something as well with this where, I mean, I work online, so I'm literally online in front of my computer, in front of my iPad, on my phone continually. I've got my own business and I work for 3 companies worldwide. So, like, that engagement of my body is, I can be aware that just now I'm sitting here with you and my lower back, my pelvis requires something else. And just knowing how to just move ever so slightly, and actually engage the consciousness of my body in a different way without force or effort can allow that flow and allow the tightness to unwind. And just so that piece, but also as I sit down a lot, I don't move my body a lot. And sometimes in the winter, I don't get the chance to go out a walk or to go a cycle. So what is it that I can do every day that will allow me greater facilitation of being present with my body? And this, to me, sounds exactly what's required. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, I've spent the past year, I do Bowspring practice every day. I do privates with the creators of Bowspring once a week.
Wow.
I'm about to go and do a 2-day with them in gosh, in just a few days.
So you've invested a lot on you, like, and this is what I
Yeah.
love as well. Is like, it's not, you're not doing, you're actually being this continually. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I work with it all the time, and it's been so healing for me, because I mean, for me, it's a lot of it was also like I was in so much pain, and I was like, I have the access consciousness tools, I have the body processes, I have,
Yeah.
like all the clearings, and there's so much, and SE and all of that. There's so much. And I knew there was something still that I required that was more about strength and movement. I love movement. Um, and so when I added this, it was like a whole new universe for me that was such a compliment to everything else I was doing. And I've literally, like, in the past year, with the Bowspring and then all the extra like fascia care, self-care tools that I'll be sharing in the Fascia Lab, um, I've unwound my whole nervous system. Like, I've deeply healed my nervous system in ways that I mean, I've been working with my nervous system for decades, and this was like a totally new thing for me. My organs have more space. My digestion is better. I'm out of pain. Like, and I now know, like, I know what I need to do. If something's going on in my body, I know how to care for it. And I would say in so many ways, my body is so much younger than it was a year ago. Like, the tissue in my body is healthier, more lubricated, and like, I would say probably decades younger than it was a year ago.
Is that euthanizing? I'll have some of that too, please.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
The ask for my body to be more fluid, like it was when it was young, like that. And I mean, like a 2-year-old, what would it take to be that bendy and that mobile, like a 2-year-old?
yeah. And, just a really fun side effect is, like, if some of this stuff that I'm gonna be sharing also um, gets rid of cellulite and wrinkles. So that's been fun, just to be like, oh yeah, my
More of
skin
that.
yeah, just a fun little side effect. So
Euthanizing. So what would you say to someone that's still sort of on the fence after this conversation? What would you invite them to with that, if they're
I would just say, ask your body, like, and if you don't, if you like, it's like, okay, so hey, so body, so just get present, and it's like, hey body, like, if we choose this, what will my life be like in a few months, I would say, even. Um, and then just get the energy of that, and it's like, and if I don't, you know, what will my life be like? Get the energy of that, whichever one is lighter, choose it. And if you also have, if there's also, if you feel like you can't connect to your body, this is one of the massive ways that you will start to connect with your body. And just a little shout out to this program I have called Body Show Me, which is in addition to the Fascia Lab, and the Fascia Lab is included in Body Show Me. Body Show Me is more of a small group, kind of 8-week intensive for 8 people. It includes private sessions with me and access consciousness processing and conversations about bodies. And it's the topic is what is true for you. Body Show Me, what is true for you.
Wow.
And so that is really, if people want like a deep dive into a way deeper connection and communion with their body and like really being able to listen to their body, that is, the whole package of Fascia Lab and Body Show Me is really, I'm so excited for what it's going to create because it's going to be miraculous.
So there is, yeah, totally. And there is that invitation that if you can't attend live or it's your time in the world, that it's your sleep time, then there are recordings. There's a Telegram chat. Is that correct? And they can ask you anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So there will be a lot of interaction and basically for the Fascia Lab calls, it's like, come, we're going to be moving. We're going to be doing both spring practice. So bring your, yoga mat, your movement clothing. And also like, even if you're catching the recording, like you'll still get to have that experience, but it's like, come prepare, like it's your time to care for your body, so come like ready to touch yourself, like where we'll play with some oils and some tools, like hands-on stuff, but also some actual tools that I recommend. We have a whole PDF of resources that we're going to share that just will, give you some extra support for how to work with your own body.
So it sounds a real intensive journey and an invitation to you to create more profitability with your body, more energetics with your body, more nurturing with your body, more kindness with your body.
Totally.
And all of that. Yeah. So how long is the series for, Heather?
It's 6 calls. The Fascia Lab is 6 calls. It starts October 22nd, so in 2 days, an hour and a half each time. And if you go to heathernichols.com/fascia lab, you'll see the schedule. And there's time links. And like I said, it's all recorded. And the recordings will, be there. We never delete anything. So something that you can really use, like it'll be like there will be like a Bowspring class inside of each call that you can go back and practice over and over again. I had somebody tell me the other day, I have the link to your Dropbox folder like always open in my browser from a previous Bowspring series. And then the Body Show Me, which if you join Body Show Me, Fascia Lab is included. That begins on November 3rd, and that'll go for 8 weeks. So that's it's separate, but if you join Body Show Me, you get the
So you can choose one or the other and still be in Fascia Lab on both. I love the invitation to this and the different elements. I like something that is got lots of pieces to it that are an exploration. And I love that you're using your own body as guiding with us too. My body receives a lot from you on the screen. And that sounds really weird, but it's like our bodies are talking, even though we're not physically in the same room and we're 10 hours flight apart. There's still something there that my body receives from the contribution that your body is. So there's a real healing for me in that as well. And I wanted to make sure that you guys out there know that too. There's a real healing element to this for bodies to be invited to. So yeah,
that's the capacity that our bodies have, especially those of us that are like the seekers of the world or the humanoids, you may call them, that are just really different creatures. And our bodies have this way of communicating with each other it goes so beyond time and space and words. And it's pretty magical. So, and I would say Bowspring is really a practice for the humanoids of the world. So yeah.
great.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny. Thanks everybody now and in the future watching. We would love to have you. Like I said, heathernichols.com/fascia lab if you want the Fascia Lab. And if you want Body Show Me, heathernichols.com/bodyshow-me. Easy peasy.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.